What's going on, dog pound? Dante's giving the thumbs up because we finally won a game with Deshaun Watson. I know he was 5-1 last year, right? Jameis Winston, we're undefeated when Jameis Winston plays, 1-0. And hey, it was a little stressful watching it. At first, we were like, oh, we're going to cruise. And then it got a little slimy. So we're going to go with key takeaways here. I know, Dante, you have a nice takeaway from the game.
So like you said, at first I thought we were going to cruise.
Yeah.
And then it happened. The Browns, they happened. Like they always, I think it was, my biggest takeaway was how sloppy our team is. We had, give me a second, 3 consecutive 15-yard penalties.
In a key moment.
What was it? 3rd and 56? 40? 36?
It was 3rd and 36, I believe. 3rd
and 36. We had a face mask on Dontea Foreman and then 2 offensive holdings. I don't want to blame him on Deshaun, but a lot of holding the ball, a lot of dance around in the pocket, trying to keep the play alive. And that's how you get holding calls like that because your lineman can't see. But my biggest takeaway is Kevin Stefanski's play calling. Why would you run a play action pass on 3rd and 36? Dude, just run the ball.
Catch him off guard.
Like, no. No. Not with the quarterback we have. You do that with Patrick Mahomes. You do that with Josh Allen. You do that with Joe Burrow. You don't do that with Deshaun. No.
Jameis Winston.
I mean, I like the quarterback sneaks with Jameis Winston because you don't hurt Deshaun. But yeah, my biggest takeaway is Kevin Stefanski's play calling, man. Like, sometimes situationally, it just seems like he's just lost. And
yeah.
I just don't love it.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest takeaway from me in the very beginning, what I noticed, I mean, our offensive line was pretty much the same. We had no Wills and we had no Conklin, but our pass protection was way better than what it was against the Cowboys. And that gave Deshaun a lot of time. I don't know if it's Deontay Foreman, I guess. That's how you're supposed to pronounce it, right?
Oh, I thought it was Dontea Foreman.
I think it's Deontay. It's D''O. Deont. Browns fans, if I'm wrong, let me know. But I think it's Deontay. But to go back to our offensive line, looked great compared to what we did week 1, giving Deshaun protection. I don't know if Deontay Foreman being in the game as well, being that number 1 back, helped our offensive drives as well, because in the first drive, we had multiple running backs come in, and Deontay Foreman was able to push the pace, right, with the run game. Back to your Kevin Stefanski play calling. I give him some credit, and sometimes, like you said, that play action pass was a little ballsy, but I don't think a great decision to have. But him having when Baker was on the team, was it Baker? I believe on the team. No, it wasn't Baker. It was still Deshaun when we had Jacoby Brissett. It was the Brissett package on 4th down, 4th and 1 sneaks. Brissett would go in. Great idea to keep Jameis and keep him doing that, and the fake QB sneak to where he handed it off to, I believe, Jerome Ford on the left side, and he went down the sideline. Perfect fucking play calling for that. But no, like you said, later in the game, when it came down to crunch time and we had to get good drives going, Stefanski's play calling was not good.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say is he did play to Deshaun's strengths. Is it me, or does Deshaun look like he has no arm strength right now? Like, it looks like it hurts to throw the ball.
He does miss those deep balls too. I don't know. I hope not.
I did a video on my TikTok earlier. I think he had 1 pass of 20 plus yards, and then 2 of 15 plus yards, and then everything else was 10 and under. And there was a couple that he threw. He threw one that was 30 yards to Amari Cooper. That was a great ball, but
right through.
I don't know what's going on with Amari Cooper. Didn't look like he can catch. I don't know if he's checked out. I don't know if he just doesn't like the spin on the ball from Deshaun.
Since the trade rumor, maybe.
Yeah, but right now it looks like Jerry Judy's wide receiver one. But before we get to that, yeah, Deshaun's arm strength it looks like it's not very good right now. And if we can't push the ball downfield, I don't know if we're going to be able to win big games.
Yeah,
Like
that's going to be the biggest battle because we couldn't do it against Dallas. I think Dallas is at the time, week 1, I thought Dallas was going to be a way better team than the Jags, and then Dallas played the Saints. And everyone in the NFL knows how that went. Alvin Kamara went crazy, and the Cowboys did what the Browns usually do in the past. They fumbled bad. I know for us, Deshaun, you said you didn't want him to throw, 43 times last week? How many times did he throw?
I think it was 45.
45. He threw 34.
Listen, better. I like him better around that 25 to 30 mark, but hey, not bad. Not going to be picky about that.
I mean, he went 22 for 34 with 186 yards, and he did have a rushing touchdown. I'm surprised Stefanski did have a couple of play calls, like the one QB draw on the left-hand side in the middle of the field when it was like 3rd and forever. I think that was the 3rd and 36 one to where we punted. And then the one to get the touchdown, of course, in the red zone. So I like how he's putting him in there to get his confidence up, I believe. I think that's what he's doing, getting the ball in his hands and letting him do him.
Yeah, and he gave him a lot of underneath routes where the tight end, Akins, is just sitting there waiting for the ball. Jerry Jeudy coming across, Elijah Moore coming across. I'm not even going to talk about Amari Cooper because he didn't catch anything today, even though he did, but
yeah,
didn't. But
3 catches, 11 yards.
That's pitiful. But you could tell he tried to simplify the offense for Deshaun today, which I think made a big difference because Dallas, we didn't get a chance to do that because their defensive front was so in our face that, like, you couldn't really adjust. We had more time today. Deshaun had 4 or 5 seconds in the pocket where he had clean pockets, but you could tell there's still some hesitancy with throwing the ball downfield, which really is going to, like, I don't want to keep stressing it, but it's going to make it tough to beat good teams.
I'm going to put it on here for you guys that are watching the video. Right now is going to be the clip of Deshaun Watson when he threw it to Jerry Jeudy rolling out to the right, and he was double covered. And it should have been a pick, but somehow Jeudy ended up getting the ball, and that was a great catch. That ball,
it was.
Terrible read. Great catch by Jerry Jeudy.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, it's looking like Jerry Jeudy may have been one of the best offseason moves for the Cleveland Browns right now because he looks fresh, he looks healthy, his route running was good, he was catching balls. I mean, Jerry Jeudy looks like he might be a steal. I mean, I don't want to go too crazy. It's only been 2 games, but I liked what he did today.
Yeah, I mean, I was always a big fan of Jerry Jeudy. I just think he was on the Broncos, which they didn't really give him a lot of benefit of the doubt because he kept getting hurt, wasn't on the field. Probably they didn't look at him the same way as a true number 1.
Right.
I know for us, it was good to see David Bell out there, but then he did get hurt. I don't know his injury status on that. I know he's loved around the Browns organization as a whole. So I hope he gets well. But I mean, our receiving core is pretty strong. You got, like I said, you got Moore, Cooper, and Jeudy. They were 3 of them top 9 in man-to-man coverage, beating getting open in man-to-man. And then you got Cedric Tillman, and you got a couple, Jamari Thrash, who didn't play, but
I need to see him. Jamari Thrash got to get in the game. I got to see him. I'm telling you, he's a game breaker. Need him.
We said that about what's his name 2 years ago. Woods, was it? Not Michael Woods. No. He was in the preseason balling out.
Oh,
Browns fans, you guys know who I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, he went crazy in the preseason, and then we released him to sign him to our practice squad.
Yeah, and then I don't even know if anyone else picked him up. But to go to our run game was there. We didn't have a run game last week. Jerome Ford averaged 9.1 yards per carry because, I mean, he did have a couple of breakaway ones, which does help. But 7 carries, the fake QB sneak handoff. That's what that was. He had 7 carries, 64 yards. Deontay Foreman, 14 carries, 42 yards. Deshaun ran it 5 times, got 20 yards. And then Pierre Strong, only 1 rush for -5. So, I mean, we're getting our dudes our legs warm. We're not killing any running back over and over again. Like 14 carries for your RB1, he's gonna be healthy. At least that's the goal.
I mean, listen, as long as we can just hold out 2 more weeks, Batman is on the way.
Hey, Batman.
And that makes somebody's job significantly easier. You know who's? Deshaun Watson's. Nick Chubb comes back. You got a nice safety valve, a nice 5 yards of carry type of guy. Makes the offense a lot more electric. You don't got to throw downfield anymore.
Also, you can throw downfield a little easier off those play action passes because guess what? If Nick Chubb is the Nick Chubb that we know, they're going to stack the box a little more now. Mm-hmm. And once that happens, that opens up the field for Deshaun and any of those wide receivers that can catch. I know you remember watching this. There was a couple of roughing the passers on Deshaun. One of them, I think it was the first one. He got hit in the back and he flopped. Deshaun flopped. And shout out to you, Deshaun. I love it. Learning from the great king in Los Angeles, LeBron James.
So listen, let's just get right into it. What do you think of Deshaun Watson's play today? I think it was 22 for 32 or 34, one of the two.
22-34.
1 rushing touchdown, no passing touchdowns, no picks, no fumbles. 186 yards.
So, yeah, he had 186. Yeah, you're right. I thought about doing a little review of the last 2 games and kind of breaking down every one of Deshaun's passing downs. Not every throw, because sometimes the passing downs he had to run or he got sacked, etc. I think he give it a B-. From what we've seen, it was pretty terrible of what Deshaun was, at least last week, because of the offensive line.
Right.
This week, like we said, he didn't turn over the ball. He could have right there with the Jeudy thing. If he did, that drops it down drastically. He got saved out of that one. But he played good. A lot of our receivers had problems catching the ball in the first half. Mm-hmm. He was hitting them on target, accurate passes, at least to Amari Cooper multiple times where it hits him in the hands and he just drops it. And
Mark's touchdown.
And I'm going to give a quick shout out to the Jags, Buster Brown. That dude was everywhere on the field today. Like, I didn't know who that dude was until today. And like every other play, his name was being called. So I think the Jags got a good defensive player over there that's going to develop. I think it's his 3rd year in Jacksonville. But I think Deshaun played well.
So you gave it a B-, right?
B-, C+. That's my range for him.
Okay, so I'm right there with you. I'm gonna go C+. Listen, he made plays when he needed to. Mm-hmm. He didn't force much. There was a couple throws where I didn't love, but first off, he didn't turn the ball over. Deshaun has been good for a pick or 2 a game over the last couple years. Less than 200 yards still. He's still dinking and dunking the ball. And $200 million for a game manager, that's tough because that's what he was today. He's a game manager. He'd go out and win the game. The last drive, he was impressive before the penalties. But Dontea Foreman broke off that big run that would have gotten us into the red zone. That would have soaked the game away right there. But he's still a game manager right now, man. He's not like that Ravens game, that last drive.
When he was hurt.
That's what we want. And he still hasn't shown that Deshaun yet. So right now, I'm going to give it a C+, but way better. Last week was F. Last week was F. C+ now.
I wouldn't go as far as an F for last week because I don't blame it all on him.
F.
But Dontea feels that way. Minus, plus, or just F?
F minus.
Damn, not Deshaun. No, but you're right. $200 million for a game manager, a dude that is not going to go out and win you games. At least from what we've seen, he's not going out and winning you games. You're not relying on Deshaun Watson. You're relying on the system around Deshaun Watson. And that's a big factor because the Nick Chubb thing, that's why we won games with Baker Mayfield as well. Having Nick Chubb with you, similar to what Peyton Manning with the Colts, he had Edgerrin James, right?
Okay.
And that helps so much with a young quarterback and developing that they can rely on other stars. That's what Baker was able to do. And then this is what Deshaun kind of needs right now. And Deshaun's not a young QB. He's been in the league. He's 29. He just had his birthday. Happy belated birthday. But I'm in the same boat as you. $200 million for what we've seen, not worth it so far.
So do you even want to touch on the allegations?
We have to.
Okay, so I've done a couple videos on this so far on TikTok, on my personal TikTok, and I've gotten a lot of opinions from Browns fans. The consensus seems as though I'm not going to say we, because I may not be included in this, but the Browns fans want him gone.
Yeah.
And I mean, I understand it. I get it. A lot of money for a dude who's been mediocre. Allegedly, there's another girl, there's video. But my take on that is it's fishy. It seems calculated. And did you see the breaking news today about his contract restructure? Did you see what was taken out?
Tell me.
He had a clause in his contract initially when he signed it that regardless of suspension, his guarantees were guaranteed.
Yeah.
Now, in his contract restructure, they quietly, that was the verbiage used, I'll send you a picture of the tweet and you can insert it, that they took that guarantee out. So if he's suspended, he can lose guarantees now. Sounds calculated.
I mean, I hope not. I mean, for Deshaun the person, the human being, he just lost his father and I don't know, was it his brother or like a teammate that was a brother like to him?
Teammate he was real cool with.
Yeah, and that can hit it exactly the same, if not sometimes worse. And to go through that and the allegation comes out and you have to play a game, like he was basically set up for failure. Like he's probably already fighting demons in his head. So I feel bad for him as the person because losing anyone is just not a great thing to go through. And especially when people are going at you and sending hate your way, you get a double negative and that does not turn into a positive. The allegations do seem a little fishy, like you said. They come out after week 1, after a poor performance from Deshaun. Is that the Browns trying to get rid of Deshaun before, so they can get someone else and they get that cat broom back, right? I hope not. I hope that's not the case. The Haslams are pretty rich to where if they really wanted to, they could. I mean, I know for the NFL salary cap, it doesn't work that way, but let's say cut him or dismissed him because of those allegations. It gives Cleveland back that cap space. I would hope they would still pay him somewhat. But it is a little fishy because this was from 2020 with Deshaun. Yeah. So now this comes from me personally. It is a little fishy because you waited for this time, which I think everyone is thinking. You didn't come out when everyone else came out. You didn't come out when it initially happened, in which that was another conversation when all 23 or whatever came out and said that. And I know trauma and things like that are different for everyone. And if it is true, it's a terrible thing. But if it is false and it is escalated to where it wasn't really what it was, I do feel bad for Deshaun because in my head, I feel like he did nothing wrong. It just looks like everything is wrong around him, if that makes sense. I'm not defending him.
And allegedly, the Texans' whole situation was also a setup as well. Allegedly. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not going to lie. If, don't quote me on this, but if for whatever reason someone is willing to do that deed for someone, even if it's illegal to do, that is also on them as well. So
I like to believe that you have the wherewithal to walk out of that room if need be.
Nah, most definitely.
That's just me. I know we can. There's going to be so many arguments and people talking in the comments about it. Everyone's different. We really don't know the real situation with it. So, from my perspective and what I believe, if he is innocent from it.
I mean, I've always said, like, the dude didn't go to jail, so like it's a dicey situation because it's like to do that to as many people as they said he did and to not get any jail time seems a little fishy. Like, seems like it may have been, you know, some false accusations there, but, you know, not even going to say if he's guilty, innocent, whatever. Either way, he was not guilty in a court of law. So legally, he's innocent, technically. Yeah. But we'll kind of keep an eye on that situation, and like we'll keep updating everybody. You know, we'll keep making TikToks about it as we get new information, because it seems like every few days something new comes out about that. But outside of his play, that's what he's worried about on the back end. But it seems like Browns fans won't be upset if his contract is voided.
I mean, I wouldn't be either. It's shitty to say, but I wouldn't be either, to be honest. A lot of Browns fans would be in somewhat of joy if that happened. But, I mean, yeah, to put a button on it, everyone's going to have a different opinion on it, because it is a sensitive subject to talk about. But we can move on. And I think the biggest thing I know from the game we talked about when we first introduced this episode is how we looked great in the beginning. And in that second half, we slowly but surely were falling apart. And it was getting a little scary. I know our defense played great. Our offense did stall out a lot, and I'm going to rewatch it and figure out why, but I think you believe it's from the Stefanski play calling, I assume.
Yeah, and I mean, I think just our defense as a whole, Jim Schwartz has to get that team back to where they were last year, where they were more disciplined, because we're starting to look like the old Browns that are constantly committing penalties. I think we had 3 offsides calls. We just had a lot of just really dumb penalties, offensive and defensive, and it's just like they just look undisciplined.
We had a total of 13 penalties for 100 yards, 100 yards worth of penalties, when the Jags had 6 for 52.
That's a huge difference. I mean, look at that whole last drive.
Like you said, the Foreman face mask. He gets that first down there and doesn't get a face mask, game's over right then and there.
The game's over.
You run the clock out.
Yep, and thankfully to our savior, thank you, Bojorquez, you beautiful man, you, for one of the greatest punts, chef's kiss, literally won the game. He was the MVP of the game. Literally.
Browns fans know that Bojorquez he's not a spot punter. I don't know the correct term, but his accuracy with the punts, he's just kicking that shit as far as he can. He's got a massive leg. He's not great at pinpointing to where the ball is going to go. So the fact that he got it at the 1 yard line is absolutely insane. It was the most crucial part of the game, and he did that, and then, bam, safety.
Safety, immediately.
I did get scared, though.
For the people, though, who like to look at just stats, and I'm not attacking the TJ Watt people. You know, people love to talk about pressures and PFF and stuff like that. Whether you like it or not, Myles Garrett may have not gotten that safety, but his pressure moved Trevor Lawrence out of the pocket and into another defensive lineman for the safety. So yes, Myles Garrett didn't get the sack on that play, but he still made the play happen. And those are the times where pressures may not equal a sack by him, but look at what it did for the play. And that's where people have to stop being stat watchers and understand the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing when it comes to most people in any sport. They look at stats, box scores, and what people like to call them is box score merchants. And that's all they look at, and they're like, oh, he played a good game, he played a terrible game, just based off stats. I mean, Deshaun threw 2 picks last week. Both of them were not his fault. One tipped at the line, one through the hands of Elijah Moore. Realistically, Deshaun has yet to throw an interception that is his fault. You know what I'm saying? So there's like something just like that. People don't know. No one's going to know a year from now that those first 2 picks in that game were not his fault. But no, that safety was great. When it came to the punt, they were going to onside kick it. And then everyone's like, yeah, whoa, you can't onside kick it.
Yeah.
You have to punt it. I'm not going to lie. The sky punt onside kick might be a better move than a fucking onside kick. Because you kick it to a certain area, let's say your returner's on the right side or left side, whatever. You kick it to an area to where, maybe there's a, I don't know, I don't want to say a shittier running back, but someone that isn't used to returning. If you can sky kick it 10 yards to a certain area to where you might be able to get it or they drop it, I think that's a better idea to do, but I don't think you can punt on kickoff. I don't think you can have that option.
No,
I don't know.
It's all weird now. I mean, even kind of going off the topic, but even the new kickoff rule, we got a penalty on another penalty on
turnover.
A masterful defensive play. I mean, Tank Bixby got his head taken off, got destroyed, and called back.
And I shout out to this guy. We did follow him. I followed him a couple weeks ago, and I completely forget his name. He's the one that caused the fumble there on the kickoff.
I remember either.
Shout out to you. We followed you from our Barbershop Break Room podcast page, but dude, that is the dumbest thing that I've seen. I was like, he can't cross the 50 until someone catches the ball. And I'm like, that's just a dumb rule. And another dumb thing is it makes sense, but you have to tell the other team you're going to onside kick it.
Yeah, it's the kicker, first off. Come on now. What's the kicker going to do besides shoestring tackle somebody once they get past everybody? I'm surprised he ran down the field that far. Most of the time, they're not running downfield. They're playing contain on a certain area of the field and just making sure that they don't hit the home run kickoff. Yep, exactly. Yeah, but just another sloppy. I don't know if you can really attribute that to the team not being disciplined, but that's a new rule, so maybe not.
You might not have known.
Right.
I didn't see that called anywhere else. I have no clue if that was called anywhere else in any other game.
They are calling illegal shift and illegal formation a lot.
Okay.
They're calling that a lot. If people aren't on the line or if they're not set, they're calling that a lot this year.
We'll see if I tend to like it. Obviously, week 1, I did not enjoy it because bad things happened to us. But speaking about kicking, shout out to Austin Seibert, our old Browns kicker. Get the game winner for Washington.
Yeah,
shout out to him.
Neighbors are going to drop that pass on 4th down.
Daniel Jones is still not a good quarterback, but that was a good throw and could have ended up winning them the game. Did we send Cade York to Washington also?
I don't remember. Where he went. We did trade him, though.
I believe we sent him to Washington, so we had 2 old Browns kickers battling it out for the number 1 spot. So,
Hilarious.
And he got cut, which sucks, but we got a 7th round pick for someone that got cut. Pretty good deal, if you ask me.
So right now, the Steelers sit on top of the AFC North at 2-0. Browns are 1-1. Ravens are 1-1. Bengals are 0-2.
Thank God.
What do we think of the AFC North so far?
It's winnable for us, especially since the Ravens. They're 0-2, right? Are the Ravens 0-2? They're 0-2. They lost. They lost to the Raiders. They're 0-2. So the two head honchos of the AFC North, or the people that were gonna, had the highest over under for wins, was Ravens and Bengals. The Ravens just lost to the Raiders. I can see him losing to the Chiefs. Makes sense. Bengals also lost to the Chiefs. Makes sense. But also, Chiefs might have lucked out. I don't know if you watched that game at all. Chiefs might have lucked out a little bit on that one. I mean, Harrison Butker still had to hit the field goal. But to start off 0-2 in this division is going to be real tough.
Yep. And especially New England. at that.
Yeah, losing to New England, not a very good look. And I know coming from us, our next couple of games for the schedule, we got the Giants, Raiders, and Commanders. Giants, winnable game. I think more than winnable. The Raiders, I still don't know what the Raiders are after week 1. They looked absolutely terrible, and then they just beat the Ravens. So, still a little confused. Shout out to Davante Adams. He made a crazy, he looked like, Kyrie Irving when he's going side to side.
Yeah.
That's what he looked like.
That was a perfect catch. Shout out to him. He's on my fantasy team.
I'm putting that for one of the catch of the year nominees.
That was crazy.
It doesn't look that crazy, like a one-handed grab or like you're jumping over someone, but for your body to contort like that and just stay perfect and toe tap that is insane.
Very difficult. Extremely high on that.
And then after that, we play the Commanders. So Giants, Raiders, Commanders. We can end up being 4-1 by the time Nick Chubb comes back. There's a chance of us being 4-1 by the time Nicholas Everett Chubb comes back, and I don't know that. I don't think that's his middle name. I just made that. I'm sorry, Nick.
3-2 isn't bad.
Yeah, even if we lose one, which, I mean, you can't win every game that you're supposed to win. Look at the Ravens. Everyone thought the Ravens were going to wash the Raiders, and they were up by 10 at one point and just threw it away. The Ravens do that, and I don't know why. They throw games away pretty consistently. They did it to us.
And somehow the Pittsburgh Steelers are on top of the AFC North right now, 2-0. Would they win today? 13-3?
13-6. So
6.
Their offense does not look very good. I'm going to rewatch that game in totality. I watched a little bit of it here and there. Justin Fields went 13 for 20, 117 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Dink and Duncan.
I mean, it's kind of everyone in the AFC North between the Browns and the Steelers, I guess, but they probably have the best defenses on the team as well. But
right.
Only put up 13 points against the Broncos, and you win by what? That's 7? You only win by 7 points?
And they've scored 1 touchdown so far. Just 1.
Just 1 touchdown, and it was a Justin Fields pass to Darnell Washington, of all people.
I know. Random.
I know. I saw it, and I was like, okay, Darnell's open. I wouldn't have guarded him either.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're finding ways to win. That's what good teams do. So, we don't have a division game versus Steelers until about week 9. So we'll see. Both teams will look completely different by then. Like Deshaun might not even be the starter by then. Justin Fields might not be the starter by then. So, once we get into those division games, we'll really see like how we stack up against each other. But the AFC North is going to end interesting, like it always does. Always.
And I know we talked about a couple of Browns games headed forward. The Steelers, they play the Chargers, Colts, and Cowboys. And at least 2 of those teams, the Colts and Cowboys, they just flip-flopped completely different from week 1 to week 2. Week 1, Colts almost beat the Texans. Then they lose to Malik Willis with the Green Bay Packers and only put up... They only put up 3 points, or they only had like 3 points until like the fourth quarter, until a certain point, or something like that. They were not scoring the ball somehow, some way, and they were not... I mean, they didn't give up a lot of points, but still, you lose to the Jordan-less Green Bay Packers. It's a little rough. And the Chargers, I think the Chargers are going to be a tough matchup for the Steelers. But the Steelers' defense, if they just play like they usually do, that's what keeps them in the games. So,
yeah, Chargers are 2-0, man. They won 2 games so far.
I think at the end of it, I think there might be a chance of 2 or 3 of us making the playoffs, because I expect the Ravens to turn it around. Bengals not so much.
Yeah, and Miami's got some question marks. Buffalo's got some question marks. So we'll see like some of those top teams in the AFC. So who knows what the Raiders are going to do? So there's a lot of questions in the AFC outside of the clear-cut top dogs like the Chiefs, obviously. But we'll see what happens. It's gonna be interesting.
So next week we play the Giants, and everyone knows that the Giants are the Giants, right? No one really believes in them. I didn't watch the game personally, but just looking at the box score, these are the people I made fun of, just box score merchants. I'm going to be one. Daniel Jones didn't look terrible from what I'm looking at. 16 for 28, 178 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he didn't turn the ball over. Devin Singletary, 16 carries, 95 yards, averaging 5.9 per carry and a touchdown. And Malik Neighbors, 10 catches, 127 yards, and a touchdown. So, I mean, they're three-headed monster. Played well, but they still lost to Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders, in which
2-0?
the Washington Commanders are 1-1. So that was their first win. I watched a highlight of Jaden Daniels get a helmet right into his ribs and he go down. And I texted you guys saying he broke his ribs, but he came right back in. And that was crazy. I think for us, I don't think we really need to break it down too much from my perspective. I think our defense should dominate. I mean, we only got to worry about one wide receiver, and that's a rookie in Malik Neighbors. I mean, you got Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson over there, but they're not ones that scare me. Their running game, we played against them in the playoffs. We played against them twice, actually. Devin Singletary when he was on the Texans. He still does not scare me, to be honest, especially with not having weapons that the Texans had last year. So I think our defense dominates more than they did today, and they still played great today. And I think our offense is going to get into a little bit of rhythm, but I have a feeling we're going to have some shaky drives come the second half, but I think we win by 10 plus. Give me 10 plus.
So I think this is going to be a battle of whose front comes out on top. Pause. I think.
Maybe.
They have a good defensive front. We have a great defensive front. Our offensive line is supposed to be good, but right now it's a little banged up. So hopefully Conklin, Wills, maybe they make a return next week. But their offensive line is very shaky. And both quarterbacks, if you get pressure on them, they will make mistakes. So I think at the end of the day, who can put the most pressure on the quarterback, that team will win. If you can pressure Daniel Jones, he will have turnovers. You will win the game. And same thing with Deshaun. So if they keep Deshaun protected like they did this week, I think the Browns will be just fine. And if they can put pressure on Daniel Jones, get him running. Now, Daniel Jones can run the ball. Like Trevor Lawrence had that nice run. Daniel Jones can do that same thing. So, JOK's got to kind of be a spy, make sure he keeps him in the pocket. But if we keep pressure on him, Daniel Jones will make mistakes, and we should walk out of there with a win.
Yeah, to close that, I know Daniel Jones ran 5 times for 32 yards. So, he can scramble. We know that. He just might trip on his feet. Vanilla Vic, some might say. He had that nickname for 1 year, and then after that, they're like, all right, we got to quit calling this dude that.
Yeah, they're like, all right, this guy sucks.
But shout out to Coach Stefanski. He's now 11-2 all time versus cat teams. 6-2 against the Bengals, 3-0 against the Jags, 1-0 against the Lions, and 1-0 against the Panthers.
Okay. Odd stat, but I'll take it.
Cats can't fuck with us, dog. Because we're the dog pound, Yeah, you like that, don't you? You like that, don't you? I'm going to be saying that one. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be saying when we're playing the Bengals this year. But closing remarks for me, they got to stop tackling Myles Garrett when he's about to get a sack. They just fucking grab him and tackle him.
That was good.
And he's still the best defensive player in the league. He just hasn't shown it so much yet, statistically. That's my closing remarks.
My closing remarks is Deshaun, still need to see more, buddy. Amari Cooper, just need you to catch the ball. That's it. That's all I wanted to say.
And hopefully Jack Conklin and Jedrick Wills come back healthy, like you said. And DeJuan Jones did get hurt, I believe, as well. A little bit, right?
Yeah, but he ended up finishing the game.
He came back? Okay. Everything's a blur after today.
Yep. Yeah, ankle injury was.
Okay, at least he's fine.
He was cramping.
Okay. So David Bell, hopefully you're all right.
Well, listen, I'm not plotting on his demise, but I would like to see Jamari thrash.
Yeah, Jamar's yeah. I like David Bell. He's a good third down receiver. He's always there. But you want to close this out since I introed us?
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another Browns breakdown video on Barbershop Break Room episode. What's the third episode now?
3.
Episode 3. Come see us next week so we can talk about our crappy team. Hold on, hit me with the thumbs up.
Yeah, you want to do the thumbs up? Like and subscribe, comment, argue with us in the comments if you're another AFC North fan for another shittier team.
Argue with us on TikTok too.
Peace.